You're now listening to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. Straightforward, no nonsense business advice. Completely unfiltered. Grow your business. Grow your life. Now, here's your host, Brian Fullerton.
Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast. It is your host, Brian Fullerton, here hanging with you guys, and good morning. Hey, I hope you guys are having a great week, man. It is Wednesday, coming at you guys real time, putting this podcast together. Actually, first thing in the morning, got up a little bit early just to make sure that I had a show for you guys today. And I wanted to talk about something that I'm personally working with and going through, and I'm not sure if you guys can relate on this one. I would imagine there's a lot of folks out there that feel the same way. You know, last night, I was just wired up. I'm basically hanging out with the family from 5 to 7, 5 to 8, 5 to 9, doing dinner, getting the kids to bed. And then usually I get a little bit of a second wind. Admittedly, the older I get, the less I seem to have a second wind at night. So what used to be till midnight, 1, 2 in the morning, as I approach, 38 years old here now, no excuses, but there's still a point of me where I do need some sleep. But normally I'm getting a second wind from 9 p.m. to about midnight, and yesterday it was no exception. And so as I'm looking and just thinking about my company, if I had to title this podcast or something that's been on my mind, is that you're still in the driver's seat. One thing that you get this time of year and you start looking at cash flow, you start looking at profit so far, you start looking at expenses, you start looking at fall and winter. I know we're already talking snow with some of our commercial clients, which is nuts. It's only June 20th, if you will, or whatever we're at, almost here, June 18th, June 19th. But it's right around the corner, believe it or not. My friend Troy Clogg says there's 2 seasons, snow and getting ready for snow. And so that's the truth of the matter, especially when you got a larger outfit like theirs with snow removal. When I talk about, you're still in the driver's seat, admittedly, can I just be honest? Like, maybe the numbers aren't lining up how you guys thought they would so far yet this season. I know for myself, it's kind of a mixed feeling and a mixed emotions right now. I'm really happy with what we've done. I'm really happy with where we're going. But at the end of the day, sometimes what you have in your checking account, sometimes what you have owed to you, sometimes you have rising costs or rising expenses. Sometimes it doesn't paint the prettiest picture. And we didn't really have anything negative or anything bad last night that I was, just reviewing stuff. And that's really what this was. Sometimes I am working on invoicing. Sometimes I'm working on estimates, which I did both last night. Sometimes I'm working on social media stuff or editing a YouTube video late night. Sometimes I'm doing God knows what, recording a podcast at the twilight hour to make sure we get a Monday, Wednesday, Friday show out for you guys, right? And last night it was, it wasn't so much, a state of the emergency or anything like that, looking at the numbers. But what it really was all right, well, let's get motivated. Let's get rocking and rolling here. More specifically, like what I'm struggling with is cash flow. We've got a lot of great work getting performed, but as we've moved more towards commercial, we have, longer windows to get paid. Yes, still net 30, but 30 always turns into 35. A lot of you guys know how that goes, or 45, and you do your best to keep up on it. But it's just the nature of our business. We went from 80, 90% residential, where let's say you did $20,000 in weekly mowing, or weekly, $20,000 one day, but $20,000 in monthly mowing, and you would do charge cards on file, and you'd have, I don't know, 18,500 of that minus a couple people that were stragglers, cards declined, so on and so forth, right? Well, as our companies moved more clientele-wise, 80-20, with residential to commercial, so 20% commercial, what I've noticed is that our revenue, albeit is 80-20, and our clientele is 80-20, our revenue is probably 60-40, 65-35, meaning 65% of my revenue that's coming in is now commercial, net 30, net 45, net 60. And so that has been a learning curve like you guys can't imagine. Now, 1, that's our clientele changing up. 2, that's our revenue coming in. 3, that's how we're managing cash flow and profit. But number 4, you have rising expenses with payroll. we're in a growth phase, and we're in the very beginning stages here of a growth mode where there's not going to be a lot of extra, there's not going to be a lot of fluff, and we've got to be very diligent with every dollar in and every dollar out. Broadly speaking, we're making new hires, we're adding new people to the team, we're training, we're beginning with the end in mind here that, hey, we're going to grow over the next couple of years, and we've got to reinvest into the company. And that's totally fine. It's totally fair. That's how it works with your growing company. At least that's what I'm experiencing real time. And so last night, I'm looking at where the money's at, what do we got in the checking account? All is good. Nothing bad, thank God. But you're just like, man, there should be more. Like, where are we at? And then you start looking at your accounts receivables and you go, well, where's all that at? Like, I need all that like yesterday. At least this is just me talking out loud. I mean, I'm sure nobody else listening to the podcast has ever struggled with cash flow issues or having cash on hand, or are we making payroll next week or in 2 weeks? And so what I was looking at, not only is where we're at, but where we're going. I'm like, well, if we continue at this rate, what does this look like? Now, thankfully, there's good, bad, and ugly. Thankfully, none of this was bad or ugly. It was all really good, but I wanted it to be great, to be honest with you guys. And I'm like, well, this is going to be a really slow road to hoe if we're not going to start scaling up, adding 5-10 crews and going all in, and making a 10% on $1 million or 10% or on $2 million is very enticing. But if you're making 3, 5, 7%, it's either you're in a growth mode or you're just not doing very profitable work. And so for us, I think we're starting to turn the corner with profitable or unprofitable work. Thank God. And we owe a big part of that to Element. A lot of you guys know we've been utilizing Element the last, I'd say 4 months, and that's been going great. But what it's really done is made me have to really mature as a business owner and look, like I said, again, what's coming in, what's going out. And one thing that I was looking last night, twofold, just to make a quick point here. We'll probably wrap this up as a quick morning show. But 2 things that I really noticed last night. Number 1, you're still in control, right? It means where are we at? Where are we going? I got 3 points. Number 1, you're still in control. Number 2, what do we want the future of the business to look like? I spent about 2 hours last night just thinking and strategizing about what can we do to maximize revenue, maximize profit for the 2 crews that we quote unquote have, and how do we make that work, right? Like I actually dropped a YouTube video and I was talking about this for a quick minute, and that was, we have 4 guys. We're a little top heavy on labor, and definitely a top heavy on labor on Thursday. We've got 4 guys full time. A little road noise here if you guys can't tell. Road show. I love the road shows, by the way. Talk about, as somebody's still in the field and still working and still doing 100 different things, it's nice to, kill 2 birds with 1 stone. If I got a 20-minute drive and I can knock out a 20-minute podcast, hey, just trying to be smart with my time, amen. But as we look at, hey, we're still in control. Number 2, we're looking at where's the future of the business and the fleet. Liz and myself, we were talking and we're like, hey, we can landscape Thursdays for sure. Break off at least 1 guy. I can go in the field at least 1 day a week, if not also on Wednesdays. And it doesn't sound like a lot, but if you do a $1,500 or $2,000 mulch job, 5, 10, 15-yard mulch jobs on every Thursday, and it's another $2,000 gross revenue, $8,000 gross. You don't have that much cost into doing mulch. But if I can do a $1,500 mulch job and net $750 to $1,000 on that, gross profit, that being said, and we can do that 4 days a month on our Thursday route, and albeit it's a little choppy, it's pulling a guy off the crew, hey, get the other truck, you're going this way, hey, maybe you're taking 1 truck, and Thunder with the dump insert is actually going to go into the landscaping crew for Thursday, so we're switching trucks around, and it's just a lot of musical chairs. Like, hey, that's what we have to do with our company to be able, 1, to keep everybody getting 40 hours a week, number 2, keep revenue coming in, and number 3, keep profit up. And that's what I'm basically realizing, and maybe that's just something that I was just going to encourage you guys, like, hey, you're still in the driver's seat. You can still maximize crews. If you can't afford the new truck or the new mower or whatever, okay, fine. Let's just stop mentally thinking about it, and let's put that on the 2025 spring order list.
Kujo. You know the name, now experience this incredible work shoe for yourself. Hey guys, Brian here. And just a few years ago, I wondered why there wasn't some lightweight, functional shoe for the lawn care industry. A couple of weeks later, I get a message from this new company, Cujo Yardwear, letting me know about a new shoe they created for lawn care pros. We tried them out, put them to work, and the rest, they say, is history. The guys and I love Cujos because they are lightweight, breathable, super comfortable, and keep our feet dry. No more running shoes with flimsy support and soaked socks due to the morning dew or a passing spring shower. Cujo Yardwear is a family-owned company. Sean and Kelsey are a brother-sister team, and they seriously care about offering the best products for our industry. Check them out at Cujo.com. That's Kujo.com. And don't forget to use the Brian's 10 code to save 10% on your next order. Get a pair for you and a pair for your crew. You'll be so happy that you did.
Right now, I want to buy a dump truck really, really bad. Demand is a little low for what we need this time of year. We're just doing pruning and some mulch jobs. Definitely could use something like that spring and fall for, of course, landscaping, mulch, spring and fall cleanups, pruning. Do we need an $80,000 dump truck? No. Do we need a $60,000 dump truck? Not really. It's just at that point you start getting into reliability issues and how old is that vehicle going to be? But as we go through this whole conversation, I'm thinking to myself, well, why don't we just look at a dump trailer for $10,000? That would be a huge Band-Aid for a couple of years until we actually need a dump truck, another year, 2 years, 3 years from now. And that could keep us moving. And then we can musical chair. This guy gets this truck gets, refreshed in spring. Okay, cool. We got our trucks figured out. Not really adding any more debt. In fact, we're paying off more debt because, we can start taking additional profit and paying some things down. Right. And again, it's just managing cash flow. And that's really, I think, the biggest lesson that I'm learning here as we continue to grow. And it's funny, there's so many of you guys in the same group that are doing the exact same thing. I was listening to a friend of mine, Jeremiah Jennings' podcast just the other day, and he's talking about his accounts receivable. And it's funny, I heard his number. It's his number to share on his podcast. But I was thinking to myself, man, I wonder what mine looks like. And no joke, I went into my virtual office, my dashboard, with LMN, and I looked at what we owed, or were owed to us, I should say. And it wasn't a very pleasant visual number, right? I was like, holy cow, what's going on here? That's absolutely insane, right? So it's one of those deals where, you got to take it with a grain of salt. Like, it doesn't mean you're bad. It doesn't mean the company's bad. It doesn't mean anything like that. It just means, hey, we've got work to do, and we've got to make sure that we're staying on top of things. And again, you're still in the driver's seat, right? You're still in the driver's seat. You can still sell mulch jobs. You can still move equipment around. You can still move people around, and you can sell profitable work. 1, to continue to stay on top. 2, to make payroll. 3, to dig yourself out of any hole, right? It's not that big of a deal. And thankfully, like I said, not projecting anything here, transparently, thankfully, all is well. It's just, for me personally, I'm like, look, we need to get this thing moving even faster. We need to break people off. We need to get myself in the field a little bit more. There's a little this, a little that kind of deal. And we can really make this a banger year. I think we're trending a little behind where we were year over year last year. Now, granted, that could have just been some end of month billing. It's kind of hard to say. Like I said, a lot of us is what we base everything on is accrual. So, no, I'm sorry. We base everything on cash, if I'm not mistaken, accounting wise. So it could have just been on how we hit the end of the month, or I charged for a couple of commercial accounts, and basically how cash flow came in. So I don't have an exact if we're up this year just yet. I'll know more as we finish up our May financials and even June here coming up. But if we're flat, I'm kind of frustrated with that. But if we're flat for now, I'm actually kind of okay with that, because we had a pretty challenging Q1, Q2 with very little snow and not too much going on in Q2 with the spring rush. It was just brutal weather. So if you're looking at the same things I am, the dashboard, right? No blinking red lights, thank God. But you're like, man, we should be further along, or there should be more money in the bank, or we're doing really good, we're working really hard, but where's the revenue, where's the profit? It's just a good little reminder this time of year. Maybe if some of you guys listening in, we might have to tighten up the boat, tighten up the ship, tighten up the belt strap, whatever you want to call it, and just start thinking critically. And like I said, I was up till midnight. Of course, that gets your brain racing, and so I probably didn't fall asleep in bed until 12:31. Up this morning at 5, actually just parked in front of a new commercial site. Picked up 2 new commercial sites, which is really cool. and they're still coming in, by the way. But it's just one of the things where I'm like, all right, let's get a pulse on this thing. Let's put some things to rest equipment-wise, what we do need, what we don't need, and what turns profit. Number two, let's sell some more work. Let's get some more revenue coming in and some high profit work coming in, some churn and burn stuff that can really help us bridge the gap on payroll. Number three, just remember, like, you're still in control, at the end of the day. So that's where I'm at right now. Again, all is well. I'm just looking at things last night. I'm like, man, I want this truck, or I want this dump truck thing, or upgrade this. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, as much as I want to, it's probably not going to turn revenue and turn extra cash. It's probably going to cost me cash. Even though it'll boost revenue, it's probably not exactly what I need just yet. Now, next year, more than likely we can dip into that. But it's just being smart, right? And sometimes emotions get in the handle and get into play when you're trying to grow. And I have to look at the data. What does the data say? And I hear Mark Bradley talk about that all the time. As you develop as a leader, especially through the different rungs of revenue, he's like, you got to look at the data and you got to develop as a leader. What makes sense now? And if it doesn't make sense right now, guys, it's okay to just shelve it and put it on the back burner until the fall or even early Q1 of next year. Okay. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys today. I don't know if you guys can ever relate. Sometimes I share these topics and I'm like, man, am I in the desert here just trying to, rob Peter to pay Paul, make sure everybody's fed? Do I get anything left over at the end of the day with the company? Of course, we always want to make sure there's profit. Yes and yes, of course. But it's one of those things where, it does take intentional thought. This is probably the not glamorous stuff where I'm on my computer last night from about 9 to midnight, just face palm, rubbing my eyes, looking at the numbers, updating Excel sheets and spreadsheets, looking at my dashboard at LMN, tightening up the ship. I mean, there's a bunch of numbers all over the place that I was getting sloppy on, that I wasn't paying attention to, and wasn't updating a couple things or sending appropriate emails to catch up on some things on, and all good stuff to work on, nothing bad. But it's the 3 hours of just plastering your face in front of a computer and going, all right, what do we need to do here? And then getting a little pad out. That's what I do, is I get a little notepad out and just start sketching. Well, this can go here and this guy can do that, and how many hours here? You start doing calculations. And that's what it takes. It takes being a business owner. Maybe this is more back of the house stuff, but if you don't pay attention to this, you will not have a profitable company. And that's really the conversation that I wanted to have with myself was, are we on track to be profitable? Are we on track to grow? Are we on track to reinvest this fall and next year? Those were what I was thinking about last night. So anyway, that's what I got for you guys on today's podcast. My voice is still warming up. It's first thing in the morning. It is very early this morning. I pulled up early to a couple commercial sites. Nobody really cares about the sound ordinances on commercial sites, so you can do these things at 5 in the morning if you want to. Just kidding, but I'm going to be popping the blades on here at 6 a.m. and knocking out these 2 new sites that came online. So that's what I got for you guys on today's podcast. If you guys have listened to this far in this way, this far in, shoot me a DM. Let me know what you guys are going through. I'm on Instagram at Brian's Law Maintenance. I love hearing what you guys are working through mentally, physically, financially. It gives me great feedback to know that this podcast is making an impact on you guys and maybe helping you guys feel like you're not the only one alone sometimes out there in the desert, especially in the dog days of summer. It can really feel like you're in the desert, just churning and burning, man, just buying gas, paying labor, and you're like, man, what's left? So I really appreciate community with you guys and getting to hang out with you. Last thing I'll just say really quick. Tonight, for all you guys that are part of Link, the Link Monthly special guest that we have on for this month is Nick Carlson, who owned a very, very successful landscaping company and owns an incredible company that is just a market disruptor called Mulchmate with Dawson Manufacturing. Hate it or like it, he's doing 8 figures plus selling these $30,000, $40,000 mulch machines that go on the back of a dump truck or a dump trailer. And they are changing the mulch world. If you live in mulch and you're doing 500, 1,000, 2,000, 5,000, 10,000 yards of mulch, like there's big companies, guys, that have big mulch jobs on the books, like big malls, big HOAs, big things like 50, 100, 200 yard mulch jobs. Like this is where that machine is totally disrupting the game and making people 2-3x more profitable using 10, 20, 30% less material. Like for what they're doing, they're absolutely changing the game. Nick's an Imagineer kind of an individual. Not only did he run a successful company, landscape company, doing what we do, all you guys listening in, that's what he did for 15, 20 years and had, I think 50 to 100 guys working for him, plus or minus. We're talking multi-million dollar outfit. But then he also spun off and sold that business off, I think in the fall of 16, 17, 18, something like that, and then started Dawson Manufacturing. Nick's going to be joining us on our Link monthly guest live tonight. So if you guys aren't part of Link, it's our exclusive Facebook group. I'm not going to give you a huge pitch for it. We'd love to have you part of it. It's $29 a month. But you can not only get access to the live streams that we do every Wednesday, this one just happens to be with our Big Dog special guest. We do a weekly live stream every Wednesday at 9 p.m. Eastern. But if you guys don't know, you get access to the whole private Facebook community where you can ask questions, get answers. I was asking questions last night even. That's what we got going on, and we just want to make that available for you guys, all right? So I'd love to have you. If you want to join, we'll leave a link in the description for Link. You can go to launchpreneuracademy.com. That's where you can get contracts, courses, resources, and of course, that's where you sign up for Link Monthly. If you don't want to continue with the group, you can cancel at any time. It's not a big deal at all. Just want to make something available to you guys where it's a safe environment for you to ask questions, grow, and talk about like topics like this today that I'm talking about and going through. And that's what a lot of folks in that group are talking about and going through as well, as they're on this growth curve as well. Going from 50 grand, 100 grand, 200 grand, 500 grand to $1 million, $2 million, $5 million companies and beyond. So, all right, that's what I got for you guys in today's podcast. Love you, appreciate you. Hopefully my voice comes back a little bit as I get a sip of water here, and we will catch up with all of you guys here on the next episode.
You're working hard to grow your lawn and landscaping business. You deserve footwear and apparel that works as hard as you and makes your life a little easier. Cujo Yardware has been listening to the lawn care community and is working to offer you the best gear. They started with the Cujo Yard Shoe, the hybrid shoe boot designed for mowing, trimming, and landscaping. After hearing the need for a safety toe, Cujo launched the Composite Toe X1 Landscape Boot. Thanks to your feedback, Cujo introduced the Jags, a high-performance work shoe that just pulls on with no lacing needed. And most recently, Cujo listened to the lawn care community to create the ultimate summer work pants, the light, breathable, and comfortable Cujo Yard Pants. Cujo Yardware is dedicated to the green industry and will keep working hard to offer you the right gear. Check them out at Cujo.com, Kujo.com.
Thanks for taking the time to listen to the Fullerton Unfiltered podcast with Brian Fullerton. We hope you enjoyed this production. If so, please consider leaving us a 5-star review for the show. While the techniques and ideas presented here are designed to help you grow a more successful and profitable business, no one can guarantee these results for you. We want to emphasize that entrepreneurship is not easy, and the ideas presented here are just the opinions of Brian Fullerton and his respective guests. No one can guarantee success for you. That being said, we hope the ideas presented here help you and motivate you to go on out there and crush it with your own business.
Fullerton Unfiltered Podcast.
Thanks for listening, and we hope to see you on the next episode.
This has been a Brian Fullerton and Mr. Producer production.